On the night of September 27, 2025, a sealed telegram landed on the desk of Captain Idris Talon, the interim president of the Republic of Naburia, a small West African nation struggling to rise from decades of foreign interference. The message was stamped urgent, its origin, Tel Aviv, the capital of a powerful Middle Eastern state known as the Eastern Alliance. Inside, a chilling ultimatum from Prime Minister Daniel Corin. You have 72 hours. Submit to our terms, or face removal. The words were cold, calculated, and absolute. No negotiation. No compromise. A deadline to decide the fate of an entire nation. The question that thundered across Africa was simple yet terrifying. Why did Corin dare to threaten a sovereign country? Who truly stood behind this ultimatum? And how would Captain Talon respond? The telegram wasn't a simple message. It was a list of 5 precise demands, each one designed to strip Naburia of its sovereignty piece by piece. A blueprint for submission, dressed as diplomacy. The first demand targeted Naburia's most precious asset, its mineral wealth. Gold, uranium, and manganese, the veins of Africa's earth, had long been exploited by foreign corporations. Naburia, Africa's 4th largest gold producer, mined over 100 metric tons in 2022. But for decades, 70% of the profit flowed out, into offshore accounts, foreign shareholders, and foreign pockets. The Eastern Alliance demanded the restoration of 25-year mining contracts, ensuring those same corporations reclaimed control of Naburia's natural resources. In plain words, give back your gold, or lose your government. The second demand struck at the nation's security. Since coming to power, Talon had expelled Western troops and shut down foreign intelligence bases. The ultimatum insisted he reopen them, to restore surveillance networks, satellite stations, and foreign military advisors inside Naburi City, the capital. In short, surrender your secrets. The third demand was economic enslavement in disguise. Talon had vowed to abandon the colonial-era currency tied to Paris, a currency that had chained African economies for generations. He planned to unite with neighboring nations to create a new West African tender, free from European oversight. The ultimatum forbade it. It demanded a full return to transactions in US dollars and Eastern shekels, reattaching Naburia's economy to foreign control. The fourth demand was diplomatic isolation. Naburia had forged new partnerships, buying defense systems from Eurasia, 5G networks from the East, scholarships and renewable energy from the Persian Republic. The Eastern Alliance ordered those ties severed immediately. You will trade only with us and our allies. And then came the fifth, the most dangerous demand of all. Transfer of power. Corin's letter proposed the creation of a transitional council, approved by foreign allies, effectively forcing Captain Talon to resign. It was not negotiation. It was a threat wrapped in policy. Comply, or be overthrown within 72 hours. Sound pause, slow piano begins. This was more than a political standoff. Behind the words of Daniel Corin stood the machinery of global interests, mining giants, intelligence agencies, and Western capitals eager to reclaim what Talon had taken back. For Naburia, the countdown had begun. Within hours of receiving the ultimatum, Idris Talon addressed his nation from the steps of the National Assembly. Dressed in his signature military uniform, he looked directly into the cameras, unflinching, his voice steady like steel. Naburia extracts over 2 million ounces of gold every year, he said. But for decades that gold built cities we will never see, and empires we never asked to serve. I would rather see my people endure hardship for 1 generation than sell our freedom for a lifetime of debt. His words spread like wildfire. Crowds gathered in the streets, waving the national flag, chanting his name like a hymn. For once, an African leader was speaking without fear. He invoked the memory of fallen heroes, men like Lumumba and Sankara, who died resisting foreign control. No foreign power will watch our every move. No intelligence agency will control our breath. Naburia will not become another colony in disguise. On the economy, he was defiant. For a century, our currency has been controlled from afar. They cut our aid, they threaten our power, but they will never cut our courage. We will create our own destiny with our brothers across West Africa." The crowd erupted. In that moment, Talon transformed the ultimatum into a battle cry for sovereignty. Music intensifies, crowd chants. But behind the cheers, tension brewed. The ultimatum had done its job, to divide the nation. Whispers of doubt spread in the barracks. Older officers feared Talon's defiance would bring ruin. Younger soldiers swore to die before surrendering. By the 24th hour, Naburia was split between two camps, the cautious and the courageous. And as the sun rose on the second day, chaos began to creep in. By the dawn of the second day, Naburia was no longer calm. The ultimatum clock had become a weapon of fear, every news station flashing the countdown. 48 hours left, the anchor whispered. Foreign embassies evacuated staff. Stock markets froze. And in the background, coup whispers began to spread. A mysterious convoy was seen near the airbase at Kalima. Unmarked vehicles moved at night, carrying unknown equipment. Rumors swirled that a group of exiled generals, backed by foreign advisors, were preparing to restore order. At the same time, media disinformation exploded. Dozens of online pages appeared overnight, spreading false claims that Captain Idris Talon was selling the nation to Eurasia. Leaked audio clips, AI-generated videos, fake statements, all part of an invisible war for public opinion. Inside the presidential palace, the atmosphere was electric. Talon's advisors urged negotiation. One of them, his oldest ally, Minister Dogo, whispered, "Sir, maybe we can sign 1 point, just one, to buy time." Talon looked out over the storm, silent. He knew history's lesson: those who compromise with colonizers end up conquered. He finally replied, calm but final, "If we bend today, we'll kneel forever." That night, he called an emergency session of the National Council. Every governor, military commander, and tribal elder joined via encrypted line. Talon's plan shocked them all. He wasn't going to surrender. He was going to expose the entire operation, live, to the world. At 8 p.m., every state broadcaster in Naburia cut to a live address. Captain Talon appeared, flanked by his cabinet, national flag behind him. The ultimatum letter, stamped and sealed, lay on the table. "Tonight," he began, "I show you the paper that threatened our nation's soul." He read each of the 5 demands, line by line, naming no countries but describing their signatures, exposing the mechanism of modern neocolonial control. "They call it partnership," he said, voice rising. "But partnership built on submission is not friendship. It is occupation." He held up the letter, tore it in half, and dropped it to the floor. The studio fell silent. "To those who think Africa will bow, remember, this soil buried empires before you." Crowds erupted across Naburia. Spontaneous marches filled the streets. Drums, chants, flags, an explosion of unity unseen in decades. Foreign media tried to spin it as rebellion. But in Naburia, it was a rebirth. By the 60th hour, international forces stationed in neighboring states went on high alert. A drone strike was reported near the northern border. Accidental, they claimed. Cyber attacks hit government servers. Power grids flickered across 3 provinces. A statement from the Eastern Alliance called Talon's defiance reckless and dangerous. But within Naburia, the people refused to be intimidated. Young engineers began guarding power plants. Students slept outside the presidential palace as human shields. Women cooked for soldiers, chanting, "Our gold, our land, our future, not for sale." The foreign pressure only deepened the people's resolve. Then, on the 71st hour, something unexpected happened. The African Union called an emergency summit. Not to condemn Talon, but to support him. Delegates from 6 nations offered public statements of solidarity, declaring that no African leader should face external ultimatums. The narrative flipped. In just 3 days, the aggressor was isolated, and the resistor became a hero. As the final hour struck, Naburia's skies glowed orange with sunrise. Captain Talon stepped out onto the balcony of the presidential palace. Tens of thousands filled Freedom Square below. He raised his hand and said simply, "The deadline has passed. But Naburia stands. We are still free." The crowd roared, tears, fists, drums. No bombs fell. No coup succeeded. The Foreign Alliance withdrew its threat, choosing silence over defeat. In the following days, Talon launched a new project, the Pan-African Resource Fund, inviting nations to trade in a shared African currency. A move once called impossible had begun. History is not written by those who surrender. It is written by those who refuse to kneel, even when the world demands it. Captain Idris Talon didn't just protect his country. He reignited a continent's forgotten dream. That Africa belongs only to Africans.